I'm here. Yeah, so I now have a standing hard commitment at 1 o'clock every Monday. Um that I have to be in front of my computer for. So either I'm gonna have to come there in person and leave at 20 to 1 or be virtual.
Or we move the meeting time or the meeting day, right? So you're still physically here, you would be here in Elkhorn, right? But you just.
Yeah.
One.
Yep. I just have to be in my office at 10 to 1 every Monday.
Okay, well, then we should probably change the meeting times for future.
What if we
Do you 11 o'clock? Would that work out? If we did a
Yeah, I just didn't want to disrupt everybody else's schedule, so I figured I would just fix it on my end. But yeah, if we did 11 at 12:30, I can make that work.
had been?
And then
why,
this
I
one,
don't know
I
why
don't
we
remember.
switched it to noon. This one was switched to noon, I don't remember why, but only this one. So then moving forward with all the other ones that I scheduled was
Yeah.
11:30.
Right.
So we can switch those going forward to 11. Does
Okay.
that work for you guys?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I appreciate that. Sorry to be a pest.
No,
Not a
that's
problem.
fine. We have been meeting at 11. So that's totally fine.
All right.
All right, so call the meeting to order.
Woo, professional staff series.
We're starting with 3120.10, is that correct? Job sharing?
Yes.
0.10,
Mhm.
3120.
Job sharing.
It should be.
They should be in order, 3120. No, not that one. 0.10.
There we go.
There we go.
Real quick, though, I wanted to mention we met with Tim Hauser, or no, what's Tim's last? Oh, Onslaught. Onslaught. He's the one from Neola that goes through the
Yes.
policies with us on the draft before. Good news is the 3000 series, the professional staff, is just like the 4000 series for support staff. There's only
Three.
that are different. So as we're going through these, we'll transfer those over to the 4000 support staff.
Okay,
And then
and just.
we'll
review
just
the
wait for the
300.
4000, we'll review the ones that are different.
Okay,
He said in the future, because this was set up back when there was collective bargaining in different unions, he said now we're just blending them together.
Mhm.
So down the road in future iterations, there won't be like a 3 and a 4000, I'll just be I don't know. But that was his suggestion, it was just the two sections that kind of went, right?
And then the thousands, there's a couple that like at FMLA, there's a couple policies that apply to administrators, professional staff and support
Oh, yeah,
staff
the
that
same.
we can.
That we've already done.
Correct.
Yeah, that just transfer. Yeah.
Okay,
So the 4000 should go really quick.
good.
once we're done.
That's awesome. Let motivate.
All right. Job sharing.
Yeah, so there's a recommendation to not adopt this one.
That is a recommendation. We have, I'm trying to think. I've had staff approach about a job share.
Okay,
Obviously, if it's an hourly job, you're not doing a job share. It typically comes up on a professional staff type scenario. And the teachers, when I share with them, well, it doesn't work great in the teaching unless it's a job share like an AM and a PM scenario. Sometimes they'll want to do like, well, I'll do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, every other. Can you imagine that with the kids?
Yeah.
So even when we set up, well, like we could potentially do a morning and afternoon, but who's going to take the benefits, or is no one going to take the benefits? So, oh, well, we don't both get benefits? No, you don't both get so it hasn't come up for several years. I don't think it's necessarily the best interest of the kids, and we always have the ability to parse a job out into 2 part-time positions if we want, or need to. This is, more often it's come up, to be frank, with like elementary teachers who have both have had kids or have dynamics in their life where they're wanting to work part-time, not full-time.
Got it,
And so they're asking, will you create this shared position for us?
got it.
Because there's nothing that prohibits us from creating 2 part-time positions to get what we need back.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I don't see it.
So do we want to have a policy that says that the board does not support job sharing, or do you just not mention it at all?
I think if we just don't have it, that would be fine.
So by not having a policy about job sharing,
It doesn't
it
encourage
doesn't
people. seeking
encourage
it.
people to, okay. You're okay with that, Taylor? Okay.
I mean, we could always put it as the board does not recognize the value of job sharing, but I think we
Yeah.
just need to be silent on it.
Okay,
And if something does come up, I could always bring it to you if it's compelling
Sure.
reason, but, okay.
okay. 3121 criminal history record check and employee self-reporting requirements. I didn't see any editing on this one. I read through it. I didn't have any issues with anything. How about you?
No, I had nothing other than there was one thing I would restructure, but I understand why they did that.
What's that?
And when we have the employee self-reporting requirement,
Uh-huh,
second paragraph, last line.
okay,
It just got me anxious until I read the very end.
okay,
Major traffic offenses do not need to be reported. That's the way I like it, but then they have that split up, so you think major traffic offenses and then non-moving violations, so.
Yeah.
I'm going, or what, so I was asking until I got to the very end. But I can see why they did that, because they want to establish what is a minor traffic offense.
correct,
Yeah, so
yeah.
that's just the language teacher in me.
Taylor, did you see any issues with anything in the language here?
Nope, then it mirrors our handbook practice as well.
Okay, all right. Adam, you're okay with it?
Sorry, I was trying to hit mute. Yeah, if Taylor's okay with it, I'm okay with it.
Okay. Sounds good. Moving on to 3122, non-discrimination and equal employment opportunity. This one was kind of a lengthy one.
It was all legalese to me.
Exactly.
And this is one that we've already approved under the administration policy, so we can
Okay.
just mirror that same policy all the way through, because we've already reviewed.
Okay, so all the changes in here reflect we've done on the administrative side. There was one section
There's a question here.
that was a question for you.
And it looks like we took it under the administration 1000s.
I think the wording was a little different.
Okay.
So maybe we'll just double
My
check that.
recommendation, yeah, is to check whatever we did, under the administration policy. When I just read them, and we do have the statement in there
Okay.
about, having this agreement, we do right now, so.
Is there something in here, because there's a bunch of them that kind of reference this, and I can't remember if it's in this one or not, about where this stuff is posted. Oh, here. Second paragraph down at the top, notice of the board's policy on non-discrimination, the identity of the school district's compliance officers will be published on the district's website, posted throughout the district. What does that mean?
Yeah,
And included in the district's recruitment statements or general information publications. Is that statement true? Is that our current practice? I'd like that to reflect what we're currently doing? Or what you feel is,
I mean, the term posted,
Posted throughout the district.
I didn't
I
know
mean,
what
that
that
tells us
means,
that it has to be
like on a
visible.
wall somewhere.
So the interesting part then, so Jason, go ahead and scroll down, because then we state, we got to choose. Sorry, scroll up now at this point. You're gonna wanna go to page 2. Oh, right there, scroll down. So it goes through all the definitions, it goes to who the compliance officers are, and then we state the names, titles, contact information are right there.
Right,
We cross out everything because we
Right.
didn't want the administrative burden of placing it everywhere. So to your point, do we need to go up and modify?
right,
Notice of the board's policy on non-discrimination, the identity of the school district's compliance officers will be published on the district's website.
period.
Yeah,
That's, because I saw that there was like a discrepancy there, and I'm
Yes.
like, what are, yeah,
I think at some point, we're gonna wanna go through with us adding Maxent, and we'll wanna go through all of our policies, like any of these type policies where a non-discrimination report, we should have a non-discrimination report created. I'm not a big fan of that it's oral, you can file it orally or in writing, but we just have to
All of
teach
it.
whoever they're doing the complaint to, that if somebody comes to do an oral complaint, then you're going in and you're filling the form out to document you received it. So that's the way the policy reads, and I think that's the reason why they have it listed that way. It's probably the legal standard, like, we can't make a parent can verbally request a referral for special education, and we have to take that, whether, we can't say, well, they didn't put it in writing, we have to then fill out the paperwork. And do it.
Okay.
So likewise, I'm sure the law.
we have to give people the option of doing it
Yeah.
orally or,
Yeah, then we just have to teach the staff. That doesn't mean you have to then go and fill that out, whoever's taking that
yeah,
referral or that complaint.
okay.
the only question I had was, Taylor, do you feel that there are no loopholes in this document here? Because that's what I was looking for. I was looking
Yeah.
for loopholes that might be used, but
No, with a document this long and all these different requirements, I can confidently say we are following this one to a T.
Okay. So just needing to clean up that language,
Mirror it to the administrative policy.
yeah, okay, perfect. Jody. Are you on it?
Can you imagine what the walls would look like if we had to post everything?
Oh my
else
gosh.
to post?
Exactly,
It'd be like a vinyl wallpaper
yeah.
all the way across.
and the graffiti that would go on by teachers.
Okay, so everything else, all the other edits mirror what we had already done on the administrative side, perfect. I wasn't aware of that, so thank you. Yeah, anything that you saw, Adam?
I'm good.
Okay. All right, moving on to 3122.01 drug-free workplace. Yeah, I don't think I had any other comments on this other than what was already crossed out for the options, so. You're good with it, Taylor, I'm assuming, correct? Okay. All right, moving on to 3122.02, non-discrimination based on genetic information of the employee. I'm assuming this is all based on state and federal law that's already in place.
Correct, and this is also another one that we've looked at the exact same language with the administration policies. So this is one that we can mirror over as well.
So at the bottom there, the second to last paragraph, there's a couple of options. We do offer a wellness program, is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, that's what I thought. All right, then if it's just another repeat, then I don't think we need to discuss it anymore. 3124, employment contract. This one's nice, short and sweet.
Yeah, love this one.
And I think this is our practice, or our current practice, right?
Yes. Is this, I believe this means. Oh, that's upon approval.
Yeah.
So we take that, yeah, you're right.
Because that's what we do now, right?
There is, yes. In some cases, the board will, that's why I want to reread that. The board will authorize the administration just handle the hiring of the contract, so they don't even go to the board level on that, but that's not what this is doing.
No, I think this is
Approval,
just
yeah.
like when we do the personnel
Mhm.
recommendation sheet, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay. 3125, educator licensing.
What's a tier 2 license?
So it goes initial license, and then it goes provisional, and then it goes lifetime. So tier 2 will be provisional.
And that's generally the first 3 years of employment, is that? what
well,
it is?
initials first three, so provisional, because after your initial, you can go to lifetime license.
Oh.
So to a provisional would be like someone coming from out of state that had a license and they need to get a provisional one while converting to Wisconsin.
Oh.
Or somebody shifting from one department to another, like I was certified regular education, I'm gonna teach special education, get a provisional license while I finish up my coursework.
When I first came here, I had a provisional because I had to take,
Native American?
no,
Conflict resolution?
no, it was environmental something,
Huh.
environmental science or something. I had to take that because in Iowa, they didn't require that I take that class.
You should need that as a German teacher.
Yeah, yeah.
I had to do, what was it? I was provisional because I didn't have Wisconsin's Native American course. And so I did but I had taken a Native American history course at Utah State. So they let me then do some modules or submit like a written evidence that I understood some of the tribes in Wisconsin. But it was provisional.
That and conflict resolution is the other one.
That
Coming
must
from
be a
other-
new one.
Other states, conflict resolution, just Wisconsin must have a very specific course.
Interesting.
That must be a new one. I
It is
don't recall
newer.
that.
And that's required for all teachers,
Must be.
because the other course I had to take was teaching reading.
Okay.
Oh my
They
gosh.
stay with you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so I didn't have anything
No, I didn't.
on this one. Okay, assignment and transfer. I think this is our current practice, right?
I just had a question that is transferring. Does the person being transferred have to willingly be willing to do that?
they don't have to.
If you wanna
Um,
stay employed.
I brought a question,
Yeah.
if someone said, no, I'm not gonna do that, we could still go ahead and take action.
Yeah.
Or non-renew.
Shall attempt to affect the optimum assignment of the professional staff. You know, in compliance, so, I know that if someone's not happy, oftentimes, you don't necessarily wanna put someone in a position that they're not.
I
gonna do.
understand it.
But what we told staff with us using the attrition model, we said, look, and at first we didn't have a whole lot of movement on some, hey, here's the positions that are open. And fortunately, I don't think we got to a point where we had to like say, no, you have to go to this. There may have been one or two cases where it was pretty much, but it was, here's the choices. And what I would share with the staff, all I can guarantee is that you'll have a job. I can't guarantee that you're gonna like it. But that's why we try to encourage people. If you see something that you think, hey, I would like that, please take it before we have to just pick from the team who's gonna go here or there. Now, I don't know, it's kind of, the downside to that would be, it's kind of like a basketball coach saying, well, who wants to play small forward? You might not have the best fit for small forward, being the person saying, oh, I'll go play that spot. Instead of saying, well, I think this person would be better in that position. So we do try, I think that this fits within what we do, but legally concerning is I can't transfer somebody into something they're not licensed for.
Right.
I've had staff not here, but in other districts purposely let like a license lapse, so they couldn't be transferred into that position.
Oh, boy.
Because I had someone who, they used to have a guidance
Really?
counselor license, they purposely let it lapse because didn't renew it because they didn't want to be assigned to be a guidance counselor. And they knew that, well, you can't legally assign me to be a guidance counselor if I let it lapse. So, yeah, but like you said, at some point it's, well, that's what we have for you. If you don't want to do it, then we'll have to go the other route.
Right.
Like I have a teacher now that we, the middle school that didn't want to do the certification to get the high school cert, so the kids could get high school algebra credits. So we're gonna have to, if you're not gonna do that, then I'm gonna have to move you to something else. So we'll move on. Administrators in all of our clauses as well, board can reassign us to any position. Can't reduce the compensation, but they can reassign for the duration of that contract at any position.
And I think that's kind of what we did with Chris, right?
Chris shifted over to, he voluntarily, but we had that position, he shifted over, yeah.
All right. 3131, reduction in staff. I went through so many of these and
Now to get rid of someone without cause, you can do that, correct?
by non-renewal.
By
Non-renewal, yeah.
So the
So,
only question, and when it came up to seniority bit,
Yeah.
this was back when you had to,
Uh-huh.
if you wanted to get rid of a teacher, you had to have cause, and quite often it was to eliminate the program. And I'm thinking of a district that had a German teacher that they wanted to get rid of. And so they got rid of the program, but he had seniority in English. And so he bumped someone out of English to take that position.
that's why I always feel it's pretty gutless of administrators to take that approach, whether they're addressing the poor performance of the individual. Because it's not a high threshold for non-renewal, like what it used to be, but if an administrator properly documents things, even under the old guidance, you could do a non-renewal. But the board has the right to non-renew a contract for any reason, so long as it's not arbitrary and capricious. So it could be as simple as we don't feel it's a good fit. We just have to give proper notice on the timelines.
Right.
And
Based on the contract.
yeah, based on the contract. So that's complete. There's no obligation that you have to renew a person the following year as long as you follow the guideline. The just cause is they would have to have something that would rise to the level that would contracts are considered property rights, so it would have to be a much higher standard to terminate someone mid-school year. All of our support staff are at-will employees, so they could be just terminated at any time. You don't have to have just cause.
There's no more bumping someone out of a.
We don't have bumping in the handbook or anything like that. No, that would only be if you adopted this.
Well, I was just gonna ask about that. Are we keeping letter D
That would, the way I read this, this would be like the fourth, the way I read it, you would go first, qualifications of the employees being considered for reduction. Second, performance of employees based on performance evaluations. Third, input from supervisors. And then if there's a tie, who's been here longer.
If we're gonna
But
do that, I think you need to spell it out that way,
otherwise,
because
I
otherwise I
just
think
wanna
they're
adopt
looked
that
at
one.
as equal. Cause I think there's another place in another policy where there's
You're right, it
there's a
doesn't spell it
progression.
out that way, yeah.
So if it's gonna be a progression, then we need to spell it out that way, but otherwise, I think legally, they're probably viewed as equal.
How do you guys feel? We've never done a RIF, but that doesn't mean that we wouldn't be in a position sometime where we have to get away from that. We've always used attrition.
And the way this is written with the options, you could put a period after the word district in that paragraph above A, B, C, and D.
Correct.
Oh, and just, and eliminate.
Yes, because
that.
it looks like A, B, C, and D as a whole is an option.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't catch that. Thanks.
So just strike that.
You could, yeah.
Yeah. I'm good with that.
How about you,
How do you
Adam?
guys
What are your feelings on that?
Yeah, the period works.
So it looks like that.
Okay. And then we're choosing, so option one, oh yeah, this was the one where if we select this,
This is like the recall notice under.
yeah. So maybe Taylor, you could help us understand a little bit more, or me, what the implications are of option one. And this option allows a grievance to be filed. So it sounds to me like when I read it, it sounded to me like,
So a lot of collective bargaining agreements used to have that if there was a layoff, then
yeah,
there would be a recall if there was an open position. So the employee would have like the first right of refusal. So if I laid off 3 elementary teachers and then we went and posted an elementary position, I would have to go back to, who had this here. I would have to offer it to those people who were laid off. So this language is saying that if your position's been eliminated, you don't have any rights, like to be called back when we go and post a new position.
A
the
different position.
language was confusing to me, because the first sentence says, no employee whose position has been eliminated shall have any right to be contacted by the district in the event that a vacancy opens in the future. But then the last sentence says, staff whose employment ended with the district due to a reduction of force shall not be prevented from applying. So is that saying that we can't reach out to that person and say, hey, this position is open, you'd be great for this?
No, it's saying that you don't have a right, that we will call you as soon as we have an open position you're qualified for, but you're welcome to apply for.
Not
Okay.
entitled to it.
You're not
You're
entitled
entitled.
to,
Okay.
because the recall agreements would be, you have to call that person
Okay,
and offer the job to them.
okay,
Um,
I'm understanding now.
I get it, it's not written in the most, it's
Yeah.
written in legalese. And it's really directed towards, it's basically saying you don't have recall rights,
Yeah,
but you can apply for open positions.
okay,
My wife's first full-time job as a teacher, she was going in to do a long-term sub position. Madison had laid off a bunch of teachers. New Glarus had hired one of those teachers that was laid off. And the night before school started, Madison recalled the teacher and they went back
oh,
to Madison, said, hey, sorry, New Glarus, I'm out. And so the superintendent called that, hey, just kidding, by the way, you're full-time third grade now, I need you tomorrow. So, but that was back,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Madison was recon, so this is saying we don't do that.
Okay. What is a grievance procedure? Like, what does that look like? So it says that any employee whose position was eliminated under this policy may file a grievance under policy 3340. I don't think we've gotten to that one, right? So,
Do we even need, I mean, we could just not even include this. Do we even need it for clarification?
Saying choose one out of the three.
But that was the one we chose when we were.
yeah,
Okay.
and it makes the most sense, obviously, but, I just wondered, like, what is it, like, give me an example of why somebody would file a grievance.
Let me go pull up 3340, because there's very little that's even grievable anymore. This is. Go to the supervisor, then to the district administrator. And okay, so it's basically saying like if we laid someone off, they could file that grievance and say, I feel like I've been unfairly selected. It would go to the supervisor. Then their decision would go to myself. And then if they wanted to grieve that, we'd have to have a hearing before an impartial hearing officer. And they would review our handbook and our process in making that decision.
Okay.
And by eliminating option 2 and 3, we don't have to state how long they have to apply for a position that was eliminated.
Yeah, it's giving them a right to be recalled to their position or another vacancy in the district for a period of X years. Option 3 is the same thing, it's giving them that recall right. So I mean, that's up to the board whether you want to have the recall rights available or not.
Yeah, because it says if this option is selected, staff reduction results in termination of employment and the affected employee is likely entitled to access to the grievance procedure. That's okay, I was reading it differently, but they're entitled to access to that procedure, but
And they can grieve it, and as long as we do our due diligence to why we selected the employees that were selected,
yeah,
it holds us accountable in terms of
Okay.
making those decisions.
okay,
Yeah, so unjustified reason or a reason that I've heard from people, not from us because we don't do layoffs, but well, they just laid me off because I was paid too high and I was older, more
Sure.
experienced staff member.
yeah,
And so they targeted me that way. So that would be something if we
got it,
were to do a layoff of somebody who was in their 50s, that they would probably, likely say, hey, we want to do that. So if that was the reason why they were doing that, they wouldn't be in good sitting with an impartial hearing officer. If they were to say, no, that position was eliminated because we didn't need that position or program, participation was low in it, or, in looking at the teachers at that grade level, at that school, this individual had lower performance ratings, and they would need to have a justification.
yep.
Besides, they made more.
So having the grievance procedure I think it's beneficial for the employee as well as for us, because it keeps us making sure that all of our i's and t's are crossed and dotted, and so,
Right.
and then it gives the employee the maybe the, I don't know what the right word is, but maybe the peace of mind, knowing that if they felt that there
Or the
was,
recourse, yeah.
they have some kind of recourse.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay,
Yeah, that one, I'm glad we talked through that because I was kind of on the same page.
yeah, I was just kind of confused by the whole thing, but now I'm
Yep.
staff furloughs, have we ever done a furlough?
Where's the, oh, this is the same.
It's at the
policy
end, yeah,
separate.
at the end of that one. If you scroll down, there you go.
Not as of yet, but this was, I had brought up to the board back when administration took like the pay freeze that one year, I suggested doing it in regards to like a furlough. I could see that being a potential strategy of, especially in budget reduction times. I've seen the state level use it quite effectively,
Okay,
where they're in the budgetary piece, for like, sorry, we've got to do a furlough, and then as they're able to work things out, then they can unfurlough days. At least it's a recognition that if you're not receiving the compensation or you're having less, then you're putting those days in. Burlington, when they froze teaching staff salary a couple of years ago after the referendum failed, they didn't do it as furloughs, they just eliminated 12 days off the contract. I probably would have recommended doing it as a furlough. And maybe you never unfurlough those 12 days, but once you carve the days off of a contract,
yeah.
it's pretty costly to get them back. So, but if you know, like, well, we're never gonna need those days. Yeah, but
So, Taylor, are you comfortable with the language that's here? Okay. All right. Then, what one was that? I messed up because oh, there we go. Next one's 3132 vacancies, right? Okay. I think this is our current practice.
this is my type policy, come on, Neil, and it's more of the.
So, all right, move on to 3139, staff discipline. I didn't have any problem with any of this, but
I didn't either.
as long as this is what we're currently doing and you're okay with it, Taylor.
I think the biggest difference is on page 2.
Okay,
We are formally, under option 1, we are just formally listing out now what that progressive.
this
discipline looks
is
like.
what I was referring to earlier, where it lists out a progressive step.
So our practice, but we don't have it formally noted anywhere, so now we'll be formally noting that this is the
Okay,
expectation.
but this is a practice.
Yes.
Okay,
I would say on like the oral reprimand, we'll do like an email follow, but we don't typically send those to the employee file right away.
Definitely situation dependent, but generally, no, it's more of that written one where it goes to the employee file. So we could either strike that or just move that written warning to be the say written warning to be placed in the employee file. If we didn't want it to go, because generally the oral reprimand is that kind of initial conversation that directing the employee to reminding the employee what that expectation is. And 9 times out of 10, it stops there because the employee, you've had that conversation, you've had kind of that.
so when you have an
conversation.
oral reprimand, you don't put a record in the employee file?
Generally not.
Okay,
Depending on the severity, there are some times where we do note it.
okay,
If it's something that we want to establish practice, we want to establish that we've had this very serious conversation, we're noting it, we're putting it in the file. Otherwise, generally, when it goes to written warning, that's when that formal paper trail. Now I tell all supervisors and principals, you're keeping record of that oral reprimand on your end. but it's not always coming to the file for official.
Okay, I guess that was my concern is that
I would say this
how
is,
do you, if there's no documentation anywhere that an oral reprimand was given, how do you prove that? So, I guess,
That's where that notes for the principal supervisor is extremely important, because they should kind of have some notes on all their employees on what the conversations have been.
okay, so it would be documented at the supervisor level, but not necessarily part of the employee file, is that what you're
Correct.
saying? Okay,
yeah, I would say this is pretty, and it depends on the severity, because depending on the severity, it could jump
You
all
could
the way
have-
to E or D.
sure,
But I would say that typically, we might have, if it's something small, hey, I noticed you're, 5 minutes late to the meeting, I need you to come to the meeting. They're probably not going to,
Right.
please, that's outside of our PLC norms, please, try to, we need you to get here on time. Or have a discussion, they're not gonna follow up with an
Mhm.
email in that
Mhm.
case and say, hey, as I talked to you about at the meeting today,
yeah,
I need you on time. Now, if it's a repeat offender,
yep,
then they might be, hey, I've talked to you a few times about this.
Yep.
And I really need you to be on time at the meeting. And that would probably be, be an email, because again, it's a smaller type thing, it's not necessarily impacting the students. After that, then it would probably, what we'd call like a letter of reprimand and officially getting sent over to the file. If this continues, you're gonna look at suspension and or up to termination. And so it would progress that way.
Sure.
But it doesn't mean that something doesn't jump in line depending on the severity of that.
right, no,
But,
I
yeah.
completely understand that,
So, but I think that more clearly reflects how I think the admin is using that working with the teachers. And sometimes after the oral reprimand, they will follow that up with, but then that would be, via the email, like Jim Keat, we had a case, one of the non-renewals we did, all of his directives were via email, but nothing rose to the level that was put into her personnel file. At first, they wanted to fight the non-renewal, saying that, well, if you look at her evaluations in the personnel file, they're all glowing because the administrator had given them good evaluations. But Jim was able to pull, here's all the directives that I've given to her. Sure, none of them rose to needing to go into that file, but there were 24 different directives of things that it just showed that this is not a good fit.
yeah,
And that was sufficient, and that was,
so
Yeah.
do we need to say oral reprimand? Or documented oral reprimand, or? I just. Yeah, I just don't ever wanna get into a situation where an oral reprimand was given and then we can't prove it.
well, that may be, but that would be like a minor one-off type.
Okay,
Okay, like being late to the meeting. I don't wanna get to where I'm saying anytime you have to admonish someone, you need to
Sure.
now go and put it in writing.
okay,
But
And if it got that bad, then you would put it in writing.
yeah, we could put oral reprimand with written warning, email confirm. Cause that, like on the second level. Cause I also don't want them to just shoot off an email when I want them to talk to the person.
yes. Yeah, I mean, you could do that, oral reprimand and then oral reprimand with a written warning, yeah.
Cause when we put something in their employee file, that's a much more formal, it's like a letter of reprimand or a memo of expectations. They have signed the document and then they can also attach a rebuttal if they want.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so we always go through that with them, and that's like a formal sit-down meeting when we're going through that, so not everything rises to that
okay,
level. Does that look good, Taylor, from that? Okay.
Jason, does Maxian come into play at all here yet, or is this it's gonna be separate?
No, I wouldn't say, not from like the administrator to the employee discipline piece, I wouldn't, but where it would come into play, let's say that there was a complaint that was filed against an employee, the administrator reviewed it. They would then, rule on that complaint, investigate it or whatever, say they had to talk with the teacher and provide them with an oral reprimand. They would document in Maxient what their outcome was from their investigation. So that would be separate. So in Maxient, it would show, the administrator, okay, I received this complaint about teacher X. I investigated, here's what I found. And then they would have to not only follow up with the teacher, but they would have to enter into Maxient what the outcome of that investigation was so that it's documented in Maxient. But that would be the employee file. Does that make sense?
Yes, yep.
But they would have to, that's what I like about Maxient is then I could be able to go in and see, okay, yep, they addressed this concern with the teacher and this is what the principal did. And if I had a concern with, I don't feel that's severe enough, or if it didn't fit within the guidelines, I could follow up with them or have a conversation about it. Yeah. So in a way, it's kind of adjacent to, I would say.
Fair enough.
But Maxient, my understanding is, I don't know, we could always look and see if it falls into the HR field that they could have the form like letter of reprimand or memo of expectations that could be filed right through there. I'm not certain, that could be a possibility. Yeah, and that's what I was talking about, the severity of it.
Okay,
I would say, which is good, probably 80 to 90%, this is sufficient.
sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know if I even like the word reprimand. But that's, let's have a conversation with them, find out there might be a good reason why, really, I don't know.
Okay, I'm comfortable with that. You're good with it?
Yeah,
Okay.
do you have the employee files?
Say it again.
I just wondered,
Oh, yes.
I mean, that's always been,
File cabinets on file cabinets on file cabinets.
that's always been a question about
They exist.
where the
They're real.
employee files.
They do, and we talked about, I had an employee matter that came up and it was several years ago, but, so I went and, if I have like, hey, this kind of blew up, this incident, then I just go over, I pull the employee file and see, is there anything else that's already in there? And so just because I'm a new superintendent doesn't mean, in that case, they had a documentation and my predecessor had basically already given that individual progressive discipline to where if there's any other incident, it will be termination along those lines. So then, now there have been 8 years since that last issue, but it didn't let that person out because it's documented and it's in there. And those were more severe progressive discipline that already gone through, so it doesn't start over. So we were able to address that and navigate that because it was documented and in the employee file.
All right, 3140 non-renewal, resignation and termination. Just briefly looking through here to see. There is an option selection under part-time teachers. Do we do both of those? Right?
No, it'd be one or the other.
It would be one or the other?
I would recommend just
To the
myself,
district administrator, right? Yeah. I didn't know if, when we're approving the personnel sheet, if that's part of that process.
Yeah, so we've never brought like substitute teachers to the board
Oh.
or anything
Okay. All right.
for the termination but I don't think we even include them on the personnel sheet, right?
Not substitutes.
Oh, got it. Oh, this is for substitutes.
Or
No, this is
part-time,
for
it could
Oh,
be
oh,
like
part-time.
a long-term sub or a part-time teacher.
Oh, okay, all right.
So we have brought part-time teachers to the board, but never substitutes.
Okay.
Well, this one says,
This
but
says
not
part-time
including
teachers.
substitute teachers.
This, yeah, this says not including.
Oh, sorry.
So I think this one should be to the board.
Because the board approves all of the resignations, is that the thought?
Yeah, that was my question, is because that's part of the personnel recommendation sheet. I thought it was for part-time teachers as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Part-time teacher,
Okay.
yeah. Sorry, I was getting mixed up. on
That's all right.
language.
And then there's another option down here, just above letter B. Second to last, there's another option there. District administrator should be responsible for assuring compliance. What is our? I mean,
I think the recommendation is to take that.
to take
include
that?
it, yes.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay.
So,
So. Okay, this is administrative personnel. This is just accepting resignations, or? What is letter C telling?
I view this seems more like a purchase service type individual. Which would be. God, I'm trying to think of when have we used, like if we contracted with someone to do. With the CISA agency, the CISA school psychs aren't even called or considered administrative duties.
So these are people who do not have an employment contract with provisions governing the termination or non-renewal
So
process.
say we hired like, from CISA six, like the reading coach, I guess that's, people will hire in coaches or things like that that will come in and they're, which I've never heard of anyone expecting to have a contract, it's just clarifying your what not covered by the applicable statutory termination, non-renewal, and confidential employment contract. So these are like paid, yeah. It's a side purchase service contract, not a contract
Okay,
directly with the
So-
district. You're not getting renewed, your contract's done. We've used them for school psychs or speech and language or OTPT type sort, but
Okay.
I've never used it for an administrator.
okay. So. Having just that go to the district administrator, that's fine, we don't need to have the board involved on
Yeah.
that level of person, correct? Okay,
I don't think, like I said, we've never had an
yeah,
administrative personnel doing that, but I guess. Well, let's say. Like Chris Earl, well, that's an example, no, Bill Truan still comes in one day a
Sure.
week from time to time, so we have him on an administrative type. Individual contracts, this is saying he doesn't have any right to that being renewed,
got
we
it,
could terminate that, so that is an example of something that
Okay.
we're using.
alright, perfect. Alright, 3160, physical examination.
Ooh.
Taylor, did you have any comments on this one?
Nope, how it's written or how we have it suggested is our recommendation.
Okay, so leaving in that we can establish additional physical examination requirements, okay?
So are we paying for all these?
All the physicals?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Here's, I guess my question is, I mean, what's the,
Who's gonna come knocking and say, you're not giving your employees physicals or asking for their physical?
I mean, is this record, because right here, I mean, anybody can say, well, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna go do a physical
Right.
because I believe in
Mhm.
prayer and spiritual healing.
right,
And I don't think we've had, I can see it in some cases where like we're requiring physical exertion or they're lifting or doing something like that, but I mean, we're paying for all these employees who don't have a physical, do we?
Basically to suffice state statute.
So we're required to do it. All right, never mind.
And so then to your point
It
is we
seems like
can
an
require some,
unnecessary
like our
expense.
custodians to go through
Sure.
additional physical lift evaluations to
Yep.
be sure that they can physically perform the job.
yeah,
So we've never gotten, oh, I failed my physical, like,
Yeah.
you know, an NBA trade or something. Well, I guess we're not gonna have you there. We don't get the data on it that says, oh yeah, they would be a high risk on your insurance. So I don't know, whatever, it's just state statute, okay?
this note here, the legality of blanket pre-employment drug testing by a government employer for all positions is uncertain. Oh, drug use are permissible only where the position involves safety sensitive employment. Wouldn't all of our positions be safety sensitive?
I think we can make that justification. yeah.
Okay,
So I'm fine with.
okay,
We've
so
had-
you're okay with,
Mhm.
yeah, because I think it's super important that we establish that there's no controlled substances.
Yeah, the downside, I mean, it won't pick up on like alcohol abusers because it goes out of
Well-
the system so quick.
Right,
Do we still test for THC?
That one, we do not. So we test for them because with it being legal and they can, even in the gummies at the Vulcan vape shop, they have that, so. Everything else we do, but we were having lots of them, well, we had lots of employees back out of the employment. But we don't advertise it either. But that's not on the screen.
Son, who was manager of, it has different names now, but cleaning company. They got rid of it because the employees said, I can go elsewhere and make a lot more money than I make here, so they just assume we're not testing for THC.
Sorry, because I mean, you can get the THC gummies and stuff, which aren't even the cannabis piece, which is it'll pop and test as the THC, or they can go to Illinois and it's legal to smoke THC, so.
yeah, unless you're driving, an over the road,
Mhm.
vehicle,
That one still, they can't ever have it, yeah,
well, it can't be, like, it takes 40 days to get out of your system.
right,
But we built a house for a couple that owns an over the road
trucking company.
company.
Mhm.
And he's like, I can't hardly get employees because the guy's like, well, I haven't smoked weed in 30 days,
Yeah,
and they're regularly tested. But I guess can we test for people who are transporting students?
well, Durham, I'm sure Durham probably does, I would guess they have that same requirement, I have to check with them. But, yes, the short answer, yes, we could test anyone, our transport drivers, we could too. I almost wish it would process more like alcohol, because then that's easier. Hey, we suspect you're under the influence of this, and check and see that it is, but if we ever did have an accident, that's someone could smoke it 2 weeks earlier, and if they're suspected of being under the influence, have an accident, they could pop for THC, and,
Right.
yeah. That'd be, I don't know if, I don't know what law enforcement standard is on how they decide it, if they probably then, I guess, rely on the symptoms that they're demonstrating.
Yeah.
On top of the THC being positive. Yeah, so I can follow up with Durham and see, they might, I think the bus driver requirements may be different on that.
Yeah.
I bet
I'm
they're the
sure.
same. I bet they're probably the same as the trucking, I would guess.
I would hope so.
I'll
So
text
you're
Lisa.
okay with the language and everything in here, Taylor? Okay.
Question came up, do bus drivers, when they do the drug testing, is THC included on that or not? We were just curious. So he's having a hard time in the trucking?
It's like, I can give people, $80,000-$90,000 a year job right out of the gate. Things like that's starting pay, but I can't get anybody to not test for THC.
Jeez.
It's awful. 3161, unrequested leaves of absence. Fitness for duty.
Hey, Adam just texted me, he had to hop off for something.
Yeah. I didn't see anything in this that I had questions on, but if anybody else does, you're good with it, Taylor? Yeah. Okay.
Fits in our practice, yeah.
All right, 3120, staff ethics. I think that last one might have been the last one I actually got to. I don't remember seeing this one. Are you guys all okay with this?
Yes, I wonder. How this factors in.
Yeah, I was just looking
When
at
it
that one
comes
as well.
to, like, there's an organization, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
Yes,
So.
Yep.
Legally, courts have ruled that. Well, it says, no way limit constitutionally legally protected rights of the citizen. That's fine. We're good. I was just gonna say, because that, I would say, oh, that's, if I'm the advisor for the Fellowship of Christian
Right.
Athletes, that's kind of, I would say, how do you not say that fits within a religious purpose?
right. Yeah, and it would prevent us from, I know there's a lot of school districts who will rent out their space on Sundays for
Mhm.
a church to meet there or something. So I don't wanna restrict that from. Yeah, so if you feel like this language is going to be a
Using
problem.
Position or public property, but this is just the employees. So this is saying as a
Oh.
staff member, I'm not gonna use undue influence to get access, like, our other policies
Oh, okay.
permit the rental or use of that facility.
Okay,
But it would be, that's the way it would be unethical for me to use my position to get preferential treatment for that
okay,
political group or religious group.
okay, now I get you. Yeah,
Yeah, I think we're good on all of this.
okay. You're good with that, Taylor?
Mhm.
Okay. 3211 whistleblower protection.
When I was in middle school, our congregation met in a school cafeteria.
Mhm.
And during our mass, there was this big rat that
Oh,
walked out down the aisle and just killed over dead.
Oh, goodness. Oh my gosh.
It was lovely. All right. Whistleblower protection. Well, here's another one. We create a, if to report concerns, so. There's a lot of Maxim reports just going through our policies that we create. List, you put a little whistle icon.
Yeah.
Do we have a whistleblower policy now?
I don't believe so.
No?
Am I assuming this is federal or state law anyway?
That is probably.
It doesn't reference any. Usually when there's a federal or state law involved, it references that. But this does not.
Yeah, this reference would be put in right perfect, so we do, yeah.
Did you see anything in here that concerned you?
No, we
Taylor?
took all just the standard recommendations from y'all on this one, no other edits.
Okay.
Jeez.
I know. Um,
Well, I can say if I get a report like that, I'd be calling you up, Julia, as a president to say, how do we, want to handle this one? Yeah. All right. That puts superintendents in an awkward position. But that's
Yeah,
what it is, yeah.
So this next one, I would like to hold off on reviewing only because minutes before this meeting started, Tim emailed about some additional language due to Act 57 that will be added to this policy.
remind me what Act 57 is.
It's a law that if there is a alleged, improper contact from a staff to a student, like sexual contact or something like that, that by 5 PM of the night the allegation was made or you're informed of, you have to notify the parents of the allegation. So I'd like to see what that language is, because what's complicated, both Dan and myself have been in situations where, as a principal, I had, DCFS come to the school, meet with the student, they're doing an investigation where I let the family know. And I got warned that if I ever do that again, I would be subject to impeding an investigation. So we always work with law enforcement very closely. And when we report those items, they don't always, they're like, so we'll have to tell, the good thing is it's state statute. So we'll be able to tell law enforcement, yeah, I know you're wanting to do this investigation, but parents have to know by 5 PM today. So
Right,
we're required by law to do that, so if you guys want to we can contact them together, but we have to inform them by 5.
got it.
So that's the way the law is written on the day of, so. We just went through that with our staff and the admin learning meeting, so that was passed in the fall. The other one that we have to be really tight on our background checks and the volunteer is because if you become aware that, oh, there was an event and there was a volunteer that happened to work the event and they were a sex offender, there's certain criteria, then you have to notify everybody that was at that event.
Yeah.
So you don't want the oopsie of, oh, oops, by the way, this individual chaperoned and.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is that forcing us to vet every volunteer?
we already do. Yeah, so it's forcing us to make sure that we don't miss somebody. We're already supposed to, they have a volunteer form that they get a background check done on. So if they're gonna go chaperone a field trip and ride on the bus, they're supposed to fill that form out and that background check be done first.
I did.
Is that
I
redundant
chaperoned last
What?
year.
yearly?
Do we do?
That's a great question. Trace and Chris are all know that. I do know that we On our paid employees, we have the CCAP report done, so that we're made aware if any other additional charges happen during their course of employment. We don't have a running list of volunteers, rightfully so. So I'll want to check into that. I'll ask Therese.
I know the youth football coaches started doing, have to do that yearly, and I had to make them resubmit. But
Not that it isn't important, I'm not saying that at all, but that's a lot of paperwork.
mhm.
Yeah.
It
Thankfully,
is,
the systems are very streamlined, so we just input information and we get a report turned out to us, so it's not.
they just do their name,
Yeah.
birth date, but most of them come back clean.
Most of them.
Yeah,
So when I chaperoned the German club field trip to Chicago last year, my name was put into the system.
You fill out the background or the volunteer with the paperwork.
I do not remember doing that.
All right.
well, see, that's
That
why I
would be
said
a
they were
German
supposed
club,
to
we
write
wanna
the
work with
audio
that
report.
He's technically an employee, so he would.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
That
true,
is true.
yeah.
Oh,
That
okay.
is true.
I wondered if that was because you were.
Okay.
That was your report, yeah.
Had to have so many chaperones per number of students.
Yeah.
So I volunteered, okay.
No. But yeah, any of the other volunteers, they've got to have that form for that, if they're a volunteer, yeah. Any other question, I guess we're holding on that one anyway, right?
Yeah, I just would like to get that language from Tim added in there before
Before
the
we,
committee reviews
We'll
it.
circle
okay,
back.
all right, so we'll table
Mhm.
3213. Moving on to 3214, staff gifts.
I didn't get this far, so I don't.
Yeah, I didn't get this far either, but it's basically saying that we discourage the presentation of gifts to staff members by students and their parents beyond a nominal value. Do we want to say what that value is? Like nominal to one family could be very different than
Well,
nominal
it says
to
the
another.
amount is defined in policy 1130,
Or 3230.
3230.
We,
I'd like to see
$200
that.
or less.
Yeah,
That's what's defined in 20 or 3230.
what did we say?
I've received
$200
gift
or
cards.
$200 or less?
Yeah.
That's a lot. I would not call that nominal.
How much?
$200 or less?
Oh. Well, then the gift cards I got were much under that.
Very nominal.
Thank
Thank you. You let the students know, thank you for your nominal gift.
But have we gone through that policy yet?
Nope, it's coming up.
Oh, okay, so we can talk about what nominal means. Good.
I'm good with this.
You good with it, Taylor, basically, what the
Mhm.
rest of what it says? We just need to define what nominal is in that other policy.
Correct.
Which, yeah.
So we're good with this?
I think so,
Was there anything else you wanted to look at on it, or?
now. 3215, use of tobacco and nicotine.
Which. I think it's really interesting, but speaking of the gifts. So I don't think there's a separate one for awards, right? Like, when John Jenner was here, they nominated for the Mikan Award, and he received the Mikan Award. I think that was a $40,000 cash.
Well, and same
Nice.
with Austin Thorson,
We'd have lots of co-fellowship winners. They
Right.
get nominated, they get
correct,
a $5,000 grant for the building, but they also get $5,000.
correct.
I mean,
So
really,
in the
that's kind of a-
3230, which we'll get to, it does say that the gauge, Wisconsin state statute by having interest in an amount that exceeds $15,000. So to your point, to an award, that the state statute puts a limit of $15,000.
Oh,
So I wonder how the Mike Award even gets away with that.
I don't know, that doesn't seem that that is a gift to a staff member. For example, I received $500 for outstanding foreign language educator.
mhm.
That was done on the state level. I don't see that as being a staff gift.
Yeah, it's not, you're right, it's not from the district, it's not
Right.
from, it's not from a parent or anything like that, it is being given from another organization,
Yeah,
so I don't know that.
it's not, and that was an ethical piece, it's not, there's no ethics tie or anything. The reason why that whole policy was there is you don't want some parent giving like $1,000 gift to influence getting a
Yep.
A instead of a B plus.
Yep,
From, or have undue influence. that way.
right,
Yeah.
So I think you skipped ahead. Can you go back to 3215?
oh, yeah, use of tobacco, yeah, that's the one I want,
That's quite lengthy.
I know,
Because we don't have it. Don't use it, don't have it. Our health insurance plan, thank you for it.
It's the state law, right?
Yes.
No use of anything tobacco on school property by anyone, correct?
Correct.
So,
So,
we looked at this earlier with that option
Native
on the
American.
instruction and the history and purpose of traditional tobacco by the Native
Right.
American.
Mhm.
What did we,
Oh,
what
yeah.
did
We
we,
adopted that
kept it in.
exception.
we did, okay,
Yeah. We didn't see a reason not to.
okay,
adopt it.
that's right. We did.
Yeah, I will say, and it's one of the most impractical, I'm not saying
Yeah.
from a school instruction day, I'm at a wrestling tournament yesterday, and they do the little announcement. Reminder, everyone that's here, this is it's a violation of state law to have nicotine or tobacco products on school grounds. If you need to smoke, please go off school grounds, you're welcome to come back. They're all just outside the front doors.
yeah,
Every event you go to, nobody's gonna like go out and make them leave
right.
school grounds. I wish there was just like a designated smoking area or something. And don't hide the.
Kind of like a dog park, you
Yeah.
can go over there.
not fenced in area, not across.
Well,
the
like when
line.
you started teaching, they probably had the smoking room for teachers, right? Or no?
Oh, yeah, I couldn't go in there. I mean, it was, because there was no ventilation whatsoever. And there were certain teachers that had to smoke, and then when the law came in, then it was, you didn't see people during their lunchtime because they were in their cars.
Uh-huh.
And they technically were to leave school
Right,
property,
yeah,
but
right.
not all of them did. But in Germany, since in reality, if you're 16 or older, you can have tobacco products. They have an area outside that's called the smoking corner. And they go there
Mhm.
during breaks. And the only time the teachers have a room inside, like we used to. The only time you see teachers out there with the students is when they're trying to bum off a cigarette from the students.
Yeah.
It's the craziest thing.
Gateway campus is at the entrance by the CCA on the corner there, because they're not supposed to be on Gateway grounds either, so the staff will be out there like
Uh-huh.
in the gutter.
It was either, I think it's Greendale or Greenfield that they've actually on entrance to the school, they've painted a yellow line. They tell everyone, go beyond that yellow line. You can smoke there. That's not school property.
Jackson uses the fairgrounds, at least our custodian at the time used the fairgrounds.
Behind
Jackson's is
Casey's.
close, yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say this, the little grassy spot.
Right behind.
By Casey's, yep,
I have a view of that every day.
yep. Yep,
Yeah. So we're good on this one?
were you good with everything on that, Taylor?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a lot longer than it should.
Oh my gosh, it's all you needed was one
Yeah.
sentence.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
3216, professional staff dress.
I won't comment. I am an old school teacher, so I won't comment.
I think this sets a standard, but it keeps it
Open it.
open.
What, do we have a current guidance or policy on this?
Yeah, I would say this falls in line with what's in my handbook.
I prefer this one even more.
Do you feel that this is more comprehensive, Taylor?
This is clearer for our staff to understand.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Is this something that staff is told about, knows about?
Our dress code?
Yeah.
In the sense that I think this helps us use more consistent language building to building. This does.
okay.
Otherwise, our staff understand, yes, what they are and are not allowed to wear.
Any questions on this or?
No, I think that's fine.
I'd be interested if there were any oral reprimands. Just joking, just joking.
Well, we used to have the, I did probably the most, I don't know. The most positive emails I ever received was when I communicated that, staff could go ahead and wear jeans, but they couldn't be the, I call them the bear attack jeans, like
Yes.
all the torn up, the ripped
Yes.
jeans, that they needed to be neat.
Yeah,
Jeans, but because we used to do like, oh, you could wear jeans on Wednesday if you donate $5 to the
Right,
United
right.
Way or something like that.
right.
And I would see, like Sarah Stone, I get the principal's permission to do it, and once well, we'll do jeans on Thursdays if we do really good in the staff in service, and the staff just like treat us like adults.
Yeah,
And so, we did allow for that, but yeah, I don't want the torn, the tattered,
right.
needs to be a neat looking, but I've never gotten so many positive, like, oh, thank you so much, stuff like that, as a result of that.
Do we deal a lot with
Inappropriate staff dress?
inappropriate dress for staff?
I do just some coaching of our principals, just in terms of if it's a woman wearing a very, very short dress, and it's maybe a male administrator, kind of those kind of more sensitive conversations. I think in all of our buildings that we now have, except for the middle school, we have both genders on administration, which helps those conversations.
Yeah.
Shorts?
I don't see a lot of staff in shorts. Or did you say
I-
jorts?
Shorts.
A
Worn
lot
by
of the
males.
coaching conversation, by males.
Yeah.
And shorts are you talking about by
I'm
males?
talking about teachers wearing shorts in the classroom,
Well, you just don't like shorts in general, for in the classroom.
in the classroom, no. I don't think. Shut up.
I would tend to agree with you. I don't know that that's,
I think it gets
No one needs
to,
to see my legs in the classroom.
in the manner consistent with the professional responsibilities, obviously the PE teachers on shorts. There might be some staff that wear,
that is.
yeah, there might be some staff that wear dress shorts or something, but if they're showing up in PE shorts, then yeah, I'd have, the principals could have that conversation with them. Man, what's the activity in the day? I don't know, I'd have to ask them. I haven't seen a lot of teachers rolling around in dress shorts, but I haven't been watching. You must have seen someone in shorts, and you're like, that teacher should not be in shorts.
Until that whistleblower thing is enacted, I think it best.
You can't put your name on, we're not doing a non-whistleblowing on shorts. All right,
Okay,
let's see.
3217, weapons prohibited for professional staff. I'd be interested to hear Adam's, I haven't read through this at all, I just would be interested in hearing Adam's thoughts on this. I mean, I know we have, we don't allow weapons, firearms specifically on school grounds, correct? Other than by our school
Correct.
resource officers? Um,
At the very bottom, it gives you quite a list of how it's considered a weapon.
okay, yeah, so that's Wisconsin law, all right.
So I mean, this, as it's written, does, again, this just related to staff.
Right. Exceptions to this, but isn't there a state law that, like, nobody can carry a firearm onto school grounds? It's not just staff, right? Isn't that a,
There's a state statute on the firearms, yeah, but I think there might be some flexibility from a policy standpoint, what's allowed on that, like.
like, if somebody has a
Obviously-
concealed carry permit
Mhm.
and they're coming to watch a basketball game, it's just a member of the community,
As standing, they're not supposed to
they're
have
not
that on their
supposed to,
person.
right? Okay, that's what I thought.
And I know a question came up because we used to have an off-duty police officer in Wheatland that would come to the meetings, not concealed carry, have it on his hip.
Mhm.
My principal didn't like that. She felt he would do it as an intimidation factor on purpose. But I think I'm okay with adopting, not having that piece adopted in there. I think the question comes, do we? My concern with firearms when they're around in scenarios like that is I don't have a tremendous amount of trust on proper storage and away from the kids. And I would hate, I've seen too many incidents where they grab it and they take it if it's not.
That's why I always cringe
Lock
when they
and
talk
stored.
about army teachers.
Mhm.
There's no guarantee that it's gonna stay in that staff member's hand.
Yeah,
I'm really intrigued by those Byrna
yes, I am as well.
non-firearms, and I thought and contemplated, you know, is that something that we should
They're
even make
non-lethal.
available, yeah.
Yep. I'm actually considering getting a Byrna for that reason.
They're basically let's shoot the pepper balls. Yeah, with CO2
It can disable,
cartridges.
it can disable a person for up to 40 minutes, but it's non-lethal.
Is it called non-lethal or less lethal?
No, they call it non-lethal.
Okay, they do, okay. Yeah,
Okay, so exceptions to the policy, I think that's probably where we need to kind of look at.
well, that's, yeah, let's look at where's the exception. Let's see. Yeah, this is off duty out of state law enforcement.
Do we do hunter safety under education courses?
I don't believe they've had one here since I've been here, but I've been in other districts where they bring them in for hunter safety. But I wouldn't be opposed to having a hunter safety class. Usually those are done after hours.
Okay, so leaving that in there gives us the option to allow for that if
The purposes of the manner.
theatrical props used in appropriate settings. Starter pistols, okay, like for track and stuff.
I would, and we can always come back and revisit the policy, but
Yeah.
this is when I thought I would like to have that conversation with.
Yes,
Because that's one that I would like. Allow people, yeah,
yeah, so maybe we table it, cause I know
that might be some.
Adam will have an opinion on that,
We
yeah.
start on this one next time,
Good enough, okay?
Sure, yeah, because we're on.
Yeah,
All
we're
right.
out of time. And then what was the other one? The 13 that we need to review as well?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, skip that one.
No,
No,
it's just
that's
the
one
one that,
tabling. that
yeah,
one.
we're tabling that one, so we'll start with 3217, 3213 next time.
And then I'll move those calendar invites to 11 AM moving
Okay.
forward.
Lisa
Okay.
So you'll
said,
get those updates. in the
Okay.
email.
All right,
Lisa said they do include that on their bus driver test.
okay. Great. That's good to know. All right, well, 129 officially adjourned.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Taylor.
Thank you.